Hey guys, welcome to a really special episode of TFL Car because it's long-term update day. And in this video, we're going to answer a couple of questions. Can you daily drive a Jeep Wrangler? What's it like to live with? And this is my personal Wrangler. Would I do anything differently? Now, I've seen a lot of comments recently, and a lot of my friends are like, oh, you are absolutely insane for daily driving a two-door Wrangler. But I think that this is not the wheelbarrow a lot of people make it out to be online. So in this video, I'm going to give you my 6-month update because I bought this Wrangler back in summer of last year, and it has been overall an extremely good experience with a couple of hiccups throughout the way. So let's get right into it. Now, the story was that I wanted to buy a new vehicle. I'd never done that before, but as you know, Wranglers are very expensive, and most of them on their lots are going to be 45, 50, 55 grand. And now especially, I mean, oh my gosh, it's not uncommon to see a Wrangler that's over $60,000. My budget was like mid-20s, but I did stretch to meet this one. So I custom ordered this Wrangler back in April of last year, and it showed up in early summer. This is what they call a Willys Sport. So this is like full-on stripper model with a couple of nice off-road goodies like the wheels and the tires and the rock rails and the limited slip. So the MSRP on this model was $33,000. Now I was able to get a slight discount, so I paid $31,000 for it, but then of course I forgot the whole taxes, registration thing, so I ended at about $35,000 when it's all said and done. But the question is, I mean, did I buy too basic of a Wrangler? Is this too much of a bean can that it becomes hard to live with? Well, let's go over some of the features or lack thereof. So, no power windows, no power mirrors, no power locks, which is quite unusual for 2021 or now 2022. To be honest, I really don't miss any of them except for the power locks. So, like for example, the power windows, sure, it can be a little bit of a pain if you're trying to roll down the passenger side window, but this being a two-door, you don't have the rear windows to deal with. I actually kind of like these, kind of old school, very basic, very utilitarian, and less to break. Power mirrors, never touch the mirrors, right? All you do, you buy the Jeep, you go manually adjust, and then you just leave it be. However, power door locks are one of those things which can be kind of a pain. Now, I think Case stole my key. Can I grab it? Thanks, buddy. What I mean by that, of course, is you physically have to stick the key in the door to unlock it. Now, that isn't too big of an issue for the doors, but I would greatly appreciate one for the rear gate. So, same thing. If you want to lock and unlock the swing gate on this Wrangler, you do have to manually get out of the vehicle and unlock it this way. There's no other way to do it. Like on the doors, you can kind of do it from the inside, but back here, you have to do it with the old-fashioned key. Now, I actually owned a 1990 Daihatsu Rocky, which was this like bizarre little Japanese four-wheel drive, and that had a solution to this where the doors were manual, but it had like an unlock for the rear gate. And I think the Jeep should do that. That would make my life a lot easier. But honestly, like the power window, power mirror thing has not bugged me once. The other thing, which I really thought I'd miss a lot, but I don't, heated seats. I mean, it's pretty common nowadays for Wranglers to have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, and I haven't thought about either all that much. It's been my first winter with this Jeep, and we've gotten temperatures, you know, in the 3-4 degree range, and I haven't missed any of them because the heater is absurd. This is one of the quickest, most fast-acting heaters in the industry, and it gets so hot where you couldn't hold your hand in front of the vent for more than a few seconds without getting noticeably uncomfortable. That's how hot this heater is. So because the heater's so good, don't miss any of the luxuries like the heated seats and heated steering wheel. Also, don't miss the automatic climate control. Really not a big deal. Now, I did pay extra for air conditioning. It was like $1,200. Jeep, that should be standard. You're killing me. That is like clearly a cash grab thing in my opinion. Just make AC standard across the board. One of the only new vehicles sold in the US that doesn't have standard AC, and it needs to be done because I'm quite sure that the sales digits for the non-AC units, they have to be like under, what, 20, 30? That'd be my guess. And even for the 2022 model in certain trims, you still have to pay for it. Now, let's talk about the powertrain. So the Jeep has like, what, 7 different options? There's a diesel, there's a plug-in hybrid, there's a V8, there's a standard turbo, there's an e-torque V6. This one is just the standard old Pentastar V6, 3.6 liters. Some call this a corporate V6, and what that means is that they use it across pretty much the whole corporate lineup. So you'll find this in the Challenger, the Charger, the Ram pickup trucks, the minivans, and that is a good thing because it means that this engine has been so well proven for so many years that I'm confident it will be reliable, and actually it has been perfectly reliable. Over the last 6 months, nothing has gone wrong with not a single check engine light, not a single code. It runs strong. It's got a lot of power. I mean, look at the size of this vehicle. This is a short wheelbase, two-door Wrangler. It's very compact, and it's got 280 some horsepower. So this is kind of a little rocket ship for what it is, and it's made it to the 6-speed manual transmission. We'll talk about the manual when we get into the vehicle and start driving it around, but I love the engine. It's fantastic. And fuel economy, over the last 6 months, I've been averaging over 20 miles per gallon, closer to 21 miles per gallon, which for a vehicle shaped like a brick, I think is very acceptable. So love the engine. Whenever people ask, what engine should I get in the Wrangler? Get the standard V6. Now, I know if you get the automatic now, it's still, it comes paired with something called the e-torque system, which is like a mild hybrid, essentially a big beefy alternator that goes onto the front of the engine. And I prefer to not have the e-torque, but if that is my only option with the automatic, I would still take the standard V6 over the 2-liter turbo. So apart from that, Willys Sport is a really fantastic trim, and I would strongly recommend considering it because it's relatively affordable for all the stuff you get. I think it's like under $2,000, I want to say. It really is pretty cheap, and it gives you stuff like not only the cool Willys stickers, but the wheel and tire package. So a standard Sport's going to have steel wheels and pretty much a road-going tire. This gives you the BFG mud terrain, in this case, the KM2. Now, they built so many Wranglers, and because of shortages and you know, the craziness that's been going on recently, this may actually change Jeep to Jeep. So sometimes the Willys will have Firestones. This one, I got the BFG KM2, but that might change depending on your unit. So kind of be flexible there. It also gives you the rock rails. You can get this aftermarket through Mopar, but it's nice to have it installed from the factory. And then the biggest thing it gives you is not only the upgraded Rubicon suspension, but the limited slip rear diff. So it's got a proper LSD in the rear, along with the brake lock differential system, means that this is a super off-road worthy vehicle for what it is. It's not quite a locker. I wish you could get a Willys with a locker. Maybe Jeep will do that going forward, but yeah, it's great. So let's go ahead and try this. I don't want this to be an off-road test because we've done a ton of those, but we've got a little bit of a snowdrift here. Let's go ahead and see if we can get the Jeep up and through the snowdrift. So I'm going to leave Case out here. We'll see if we can get some mud flying. And then we'll take it for a ride and talk about the daily drivability. So, into the Wrangler, firing up the 3.6 V6. Let's go ahead and go into 4-wheel drive here and select the gear on the manual transmission. Now, I have been driving this vehicle quite a lot in the last couple months. I kind of struggled with that a little bit early on because this was my first ever new car purchase and by far the biggest purchase I have ever made. So I was very worried about getting it damaged and kind of scratched or, you know, mucked up. But I'm kind of getting over that now, and I'm at 2,700 miles, which is pretty abysmal for the last 6 months. But I've gained a new attitude of let's just use it and enjoy it. So here we go through the snowbank. Get some wheel spin going there. Oh yeah, look at that. Pretty cool. So this is low range. Let's go ahead and go into second gear. See if we can get it to fling around a little bit. Oh, should have closed that window. Oh, what in the heck? All right, that was fun. In case you want to come in, and we shall go ahead and talk about the drivability and the usability. Grab some windshield wiper there. So let's talk about these seats really quick before you get in. These are the Heritage Tan Cloth seats. You can get them in black and tan. Tan's no cost option. Definitely get the tan. I think it looks phenomenal. Although my black Mountain Dog Blaze has certainly made this a challenge to keep clean. So from an interior standpoint, right? Very basic. Not a whole lot of buttons, no driver assistance, none of that down here. But we do have the greatest infotainment system to exist in history. I freaking love this little system. It is perfect. This is the basic, I think they say it's a 5-inch screen, but it just works so well. It's got radio and it's got media for phone connectivity with Bluetooth and absolutely nothing else. You can tune it, you can adjust the volume, you can talk to people. It doesn't have any fancy maps, it doesn't have any crazy settings. I guess it does have a compass technically, but it's just lovely. It does absolutely everything I need, nothing I don't. It's never crashed, it's never failed. The resolution is, well, it's kind of poopy, but who cares? It just works. It's lovely. Fantastic little screen. I also feel the same way about the center screen for the gauges. So it's not the big fancy screen you can get in the Wrangler, but it's nice. Now, the previous 100 and some miles, I've averaged 19.8 because I've been driving it kind of hard through the snow. But realistically, 2021 is very achievable in a Wrangler which I have to say is much more adequate than I was expecting. Now let's talk about the usability and the daily drivability of this Jeep. So like I said, for the first few months, I was very hesitant to drive it because I wanted to keep the value high and I wanted to keep it clean and shiny. And then the last couple months I've been like, let's just drive the beans off of it. Let's enjoy it. I bought it, might as well enjoy it. And it's been very good. So as a daily driver, right, it is a little bit compromised. I mean, this is not the largest vehicle. I still think for taller drivers, the seat could go back a little further, and the seat comfort isn't great. But the soft top has been remarkably quiet on road trips on the highway. It's not unbearable. I've driven it through many, many snowstorms now, haven't got a single bit of intrusion from ice or from snow or from frost. None of it. It's been super well sealed and you can throw it back super easily. The sound system, bass sound system, is incredible for what it is. You just crank up the radio, you got speakers above your head, and it just works. AC is excellent, got a couple of USB ports. That's it. And to be honest, there's nothing else I have needed. Now, ride and handling, solid axle vehicle. We do have coil springs, which is a nice luxury compared to my old Jeep, which was a leaf sprung vehicle. It's not a Rolls Royce. There's no doubt about that. But it is the best Wrangler for daily drivability that's ever existed. It's fairly comfortable and it feels fairly safe and secure even on the highway. There have been, I think, only one instance where I kind of got a pucker moment. I was on ice and this vehicle pulled out right in front of me and I hit the brakes a little bit too hard and things kind of started to get a little sketchy with the short wheelbase and the weight transfer. But apart from that, I felt very safe and secure in this whenever I drive it, even on the highway at high speeds. So off-road standpoint, this thing will go well beyond what I would ever need it to. I mean, it really is an extremely capable vehicle. Everybody thinks they need the Rubicon, and 99% of people don't. The low range, the short wheelbase, the lightweight of this vehicle is just such an incredible beast. It's more capability than I'd ever need. And the mud terrains, they're not very good in the snow compared to a snow-rated all-terrain like KO2. So something I may want to consider changing going forward. But in this kind of slushy, slick, gross, muddy mess, they are excellent. And these are the KM2, so this is the older generation of BFG mud terrain. But even still, I mean, the grip they provide, I mean, this is super slick mud. Andre was out here with a military truck the other day, and he struggled to make his way up this hill. And look at that, it just goes anywhere you point it. Brake lock differential kicking in there, distributing power where it needs to go. Phenomenal. Manual transmission, would I do it again? It's not the greatest manual. It's a little bit rubbery and the gearing's a little tall. So really, if you're going 35, you have to be in third if you want to maintain speed on hills. Typically, I like to be in a higher gear and have the same speed capability. I think it's like a 345 axle ratio. I'd like this to be a little bit shorter, but it's fun to drive, you know, and it's kind of a principle thing. Manuals are so hard to find now, and being able to roll your own gears does give you an additional connection to the vehicle, which you might not have otherwise. Now, from a storage and utility, back seat, surprisingly roomy, hard to get in and out, but I've had friends back there, and it's actually pretty decent. Trunk, tiny. Trunk is too small. But let's go ahead and get out of here, wrap it up, and talk about what would I change. There is really only one thing I would change on this Wrangler. The color. I love the firecracker, and it is my second favorite color in the whole Jeep lineup, but I really like this bikini pearl metallic they do, which is like this teal green. It wasn't available when I ordered it, so I went with the red. But apart from that, guys, I mean, that's obviously just a stupid preference thing. It has beyond exceeded my expectations from refinement, ride quality. The soft top's been good. Fuel economy, 21, pretty decent. I pay, what is it? $1,200 a year, I believe, for insurance, so it's not too expensive to insure for what it is. And I do love this vehicle. It's been beyond exceeding my expectations. I hope to really hold on to this for a lot of years to come because it was my dream vehicle, and I feel very fortunate I could work hard and afford this. But time to go clean it off, because even though I don't mind getting it dirty, I still prefer it clean. And we'll see you on the next video. Ciao.